How's it going, guys? I just finished watching the live conference streamed, the Made by Google conference, and that was announcing their new products that they have had so many leaks and rumors about over the past few months. And they even coyly played a video accumulating a lot of clips from these YouTubers who have announced, who talked about some of those leaks on the Pixel 3, which is the most anticipated out of all of them. But Google remained having a few surprises, and if any of you who are watching are die-hard Apple fans, you might want to leave because you're probably going to get mad a few times in this video. So right off the bat, if I were to summarize the whole conference, it focused primarily on software, on AI. And this has been Google's focus for a little while now, but they really brought that home today. Instead of talking about specs and how much RAM the new phone has, they focused on some of the software additions that really make this phone stand out. And I'm not even going to be focused primarily on the phone because they mentioned some other things that were truly incredible. But since a lot of you are probably watching this for the Pixel 3, let's get that out of the way. And I didn't even think I was going to care about it because, you know, phone launches now aren't very exciting to me, but this one had a few interesting perks. So it's going to come in two sizes. The regular, I wrote everything down on little post-it notes as I was watching. So it has a 5.5 screen for the regular sized one and a 6.3-inch screen that has a notch and is almost bezel-less. It's a very full screen. You know, whatever. Screens aren't exciting anymore. It's pretty, but it's no big deal. 40% louder front-facing speakers instead of downward firing, so it's supposed to be pretty loud and good for music. But one of the biggest things by far is definitely the camera, since the Pixel 2's camera is still, even now, the best camera on a smartphone. They made the third one even better, and they even jabbed Apple a few times with some of the pictures that it took. And they mentioned that there's 7 photographers that took the Pixel 3 and went and shot 7 different covers for magazines that we're gonna see in a week. So they're so good that you can use them for professional photography. I mean, real magazines like GQ have pictures on the front that was taken with the Pixel 3, and most people had no idea. So that's pretty cool. It also features something called Top Shot, which isn't the newest concept, but paired with the AI makes it a little more interesting. So in Top Shot mode, you can take a picture and it'll take a lot of pictures, but the cool thing is it'll take those pictures also in HDR, which to make HDR, you have to, on a cell phone anyway, you have to take a few pictures and then process them together. So it's really taking a lot of pictures and then selects which pictures are the best for you. And it uses AI to recognize, you know, which ones look better, like smiling faces and yada, yada, yada. And also gets rid of the garbage ones. It also has a new feature called Super Zoom, which takes multiple pictures because, you know, digital zooming on a camera on a phone is usually trash. So what it does is it takes a few pictures and super samples the increment details and the pixels around the subject and learns how to make a better image when zoomed in rather than this blocky, grainy mess that you usually get, which is cool. That's some pretty cool software. Again, it's software, it's not hardware. Another thing that they featured is night sight feature, which takes night pictures without using flash and makes them look incredible. And so instead of straining the sensor on the camera and then making these horrible grainy messes, even they showed on the iPhone XS that it wasn't that great. It wasn't terrible, but it was a little bit dimmer. So they take it takes the picture and the software recognizes what's in the scene and what needs to not just be enhanced, but it knows what colors and what things are in there due to context, and creates the picture and it gives you the colors that is supposed to be there. So that's pretty trippy. We'll have to see what that looks like to the average consumer, but they showed unedited pictures on screen and it was really good. So we'll see how that looks later on. It also has a very wide angle selfie camera. There looked like there was 2 cameras on the front, and it's 184% wider than the iPhone, so that's cool. So you don't have to have stupidly long arms like me and take pictures of all of your friends. So, hey, I mean, cool. And also they have a lot of Lens AI features, which isn't a new concept, but it's Google's version of it, so it makes it good. All of these phones are going to include unlimited storage, and that's cloud storage, but unlimited storage, lossless qualities to Google Photos. So if you take lots and lots of photos, like my wife, then you don't have to worry about plugging up your phone, like pretty much every phone we've had. One of the coolest things though, which is going to eventually be on most Android phones from the look of it, is call screening. Now this is cool because when you get an incoming call, normally you see the on the caller ID who is calling you, and you can either pick up or you can hang up, or you can send them a text message, a predetermined one or whatever, saying, I can't come to the phone right now, I'm in a meeting. With call screening, you can have Google answer the phone for you, and it says, hello, I'm Google. The person sent me to talk to you because they're busy. And you can view on screen the entire conversation that Google has with that person, and they can choose whether to continue to say who they are and the reason for their call, and then you can still pick up during that conversation to if it turns out to be important. So if you don't recognize the number and you're trying to filter out telemarketers, they'll tell you, you know, win a free cruise, yada yada yada, and you can screen that out. So that is pretty cool. And that's coming out next month to the Pixel 3 first before anyone else. So with all this AI, one of the biggest things that people are worried about is security. And Google is pretty much on all new products incorporating the Titan security chip. So instead of just relying on software as your antivirus or your anti-hacking security, this has actual hardware which acts as a barrier between what is software and what is your phone. So it's added security. I won't get into how that works, but it's going to be really good and very helpful. Eventually hackers will figure it out, but right now it's ahead of the game, so it'll be good. What's the price? It's going to be $799. So, you know, not cheap, but cheaper than some of its competitors. And from what I've seen of it, it's going to be a better phone. Now, I'm not going to get into the specs because it's pretty much going to be what you would expect in any phone. All phones have, you know, either 845s now with Snapdragon, or, you know, 4 gigs to 6 gigs of RAMs for the bigger one. So it's probably going to be around there. Again, they didn't focus on it, so it'll probably be out in a couple minutes, and then whatever I just said is outdated, so whatever. Again, not the main focus. Everything was focused on software. Again, so that took nearly 10 minutes for me to explain everything that's going to be in the Pixel 3, so I'm running out of time. So what were some of the other things that they featured? What were the big deals and some of the more kept secrets? Well, not quite a replacement, but definitely a step up. They're releasing the Google Hub. Now that's kind of acts like a Google Home, but with a screen. And right off the bat, I'll say there is no camera in it, so you don't. They said it for you to feel comfortable around it. You know, like say you're in the bathroom and you don't want that thing to go off. So that's a thing. So what makes it different? Well, as you're talking to it, you can see the things on the screen so to interact with. You can say, "Hey, you know, what's my day looking like?" And they'll show you all your calendar appointments. Everything is very fast, very seamless, and it's pretty cool. They've changed a few things about it so that you can see the status of your home with all of your smart devices in there. So it really encourages entering into the smart device world. So you can be like, is my door locked? And if you have a smart lock, you know, you can see that it's locked or unlocked, and then you can promptly lock it. A lot of cool functions for cooking, so you don't have to touch any screens or anything like that, but you can still visualize, because I found a lot of times when I use Google Home that I have to have it repeat it because I may not have been paying exclusive attention when it said what it was saying, or the volume may have been down when I didn't know it, and then I have to have it repeat it. But with the screen, you can kind of get past some of that without having to touch it on everything, since it's always active. It's not like you have to press a thing to get it ready. So it does a good job of simplifying all the controls that you would typically have on any Google device. And you can use your phone as a remote control for some of those features too. So it's kind of simplifying the home app into more of a hub, and without necessarily changing it and having to use multiple apps for absolutely everything. So do you want a big glowing screen in your home at all times? Probably not, but you don't have to worry about that because it's smartified? I don't know. It intelligently adapts to the lighting environment of your home. So at night, it shuts the screen off, so you don't have this glowing screen in your bedroom. But of course, if you talk to it, you can activate it again. During the mornings and through the afternoon, it will adjust the light settings into the evening, where it will warm the screen and dim the lights so that you can always feel comfortable having it there. It also features a live album mode so that all the pictures from your Google Photos can be displayed on there, including specific people and faces. So if you want only certain people to be displayed, say you're having a dinner party and those friends are coming over and you want only pictures of them to show so you can make them feel like you love them, you can have that play there. But what if some of those pictures were rather cruddy and blurry, and some of the albums include random pictures of receipts? Well, Google will know which ones are good and which ones are bad and will filter those out, so you don't have to show them on the screen. So that's pretty cool. Now, what is that going to cost? Is that I immediately thought, it's going to be $300, $250 at least, and no, it was going to be only $149. So it makes a nice upgrade to the Google Home without being ridiculously expensive. So sweet. And lastly, what we're going to talk about today is the Google Slate. Now, lately, tablets have been sort of not on anyone's minds when it comes to development. It's been a very stale market. You could go into any Best Buy or Walmart and see tablets that literally came out 2 to 3 years ago. And it's kind of a shame because tablets are really cool. They're a nice medium for productivity and entertainment. I've always loved them. I need them on the regular. So not seeing that developed is kind of sad to me, but that is removed with the Google Slate, and it's a much more interesting tablet because it's not just running on Android. In fact, it doesn't run on Android. It runs on Google Chrome. It's a Chrome OS. And that's not to say that you can't run the same apps, because now Google Chrome can run all of Android's apps, but it's a more desktop version of an OS. So it's like if you took Android and made it into a desktop operating system. So it kind of thins the line, because they mentioned, it's most tablets now either are phones trying to be laptops, and some of the higher end tablets are laptops pretending to be tablets, and you got fans and they're heavy and they're trying to run more than they can within the system. But Chrome is a very sleek, very efficient software that can run on slightly lower specs, but with a much more, that's what Apple does. So Chrome is doing it now, and it's really nice. And they showed a few of the features. It is really good. It's a much more productive version, and it feels more like a desktop, which I have always been partial to Windows tablets. It's just they never make them powerful enough to run properly, so I've always kind of held back. Chrome Slate will also feature the Titan security chip, so you can see that Google is really caring about security right now, especially with how many leaks and breaches there have been in security with multiple companies lately. And they're going to have speakers in the front, and apparently they're going to be very loud. They haven't really specified how loud or how good, but they're saying that is one of the key features and how good it is. They didn't understate it, so we'll be watching that once we actually get to try one. So the cameras that will be on the Slate are two 8-megapixel cameras, and apparently they're supposed to be pretty good. Since tablets aren't really focusing on cameras per se, they didn't have to go too crazy, but apparently they've optimized it so that it works really good with video chatting, which is pretty much all you would really want to use on a tablet anyway. Being more of a desktop operating system though, we're starting to see some more development in it, which is kind of exciting, because for operating systems, as of the past couple of years, there's only been three options: the ever so popular Windows 10, the Mac OS in its variant forms, and Linux for the smart people. But with some of these operating systems becoming slightly more antiquated and showing their age in how they operate, seeing Chrome start to creep up on the competition is becoming interesting, and all it really needs at this point is more support, which it's getting from Adobe. So Adobe's releasing a more full version of Adobe Acrobat, and I'd really like in the near future to see some of the Creative Suite coming out for it, which is not out of the question. A lot of software companies, I'm sure, are going to start developing more for Chrome OS so that we can have an actual desktop experience, because that's one of the only things that has prevented me from using Chrome, is because I use Steam and I use the Adobe Creative Suite very heavily, and other than that I don't really care about too many other programs that I wouldn't be able to somehow use on Chrome. So being able to see that come in the near future would be pretty cool, and I think this might be the start. So how much is the Google Slate going to cost you? It's going to be $599 out of the gate, and with an additional $199 for the keyboard. I mean, I don't really see that being justifiable. That's expensive. $200 for a keyboard? I mean, other companies have done it, but come on, that's bad. Other than that, we don't know too much else spec-wise about this tablet, other than the fact that it has 6-megapixel screen, which they boasted heavily about how everything looks beautiful in it and how it's brighter and faster and yada yada yada. I mean, they didn't even translate that into refresh rate, so we'll have to find out a little bit more soon. But as a 293 ppi, and it's pretty much the equivalent of a 3K screen, not quite 4K, it's like a 3K screen, because 4K is 8 megapixels and this is 6 megapixels. So 3K is good, it's not unheard of, it's been done, but apparently this one is better, so we'll see soon. Anyway, wrapping things up, it's definitely the goal of a lot of tech companies, since the advances in specs and technology are starting to slow down than what they once were. So it makes sense that companies focus on software to optimize what you can do with the specs that do exist and make things run a little bit smoother, which is what Google is actually really good at right now. So it'll be exciting to actually test these in the near future, and yeah, that's what I got out of today's conference. Well, that's it for me, guys. I'll see you around.